Good evening, everyone, and welcome to today's show. You're here today on the Foundation for Family Affairs YouTube channel page. You're all welcome. My name is Goodness Ihedowa. I'm a practicing nurse in the UK, and I'm also a lover of God, and I'm someone that's passionate about having a healthy relationship. And today we have this beautiful couple. He's my mentor and his wonderful, beautiful wife, Dr. Victor Akuna and Chidi. And today we're going to talk about 10 lessons they've learned in the 10 years as a couple. So you're welcome to today's show. So please do introduce yourselves, guys.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the introduction, for the nice introduction, and thank you for being so willing to do this. Like you rightly said, I'm Chidi Akuna, and
I'm Victor Akuna.
Yes, we run Foundation for Family Affairs, an organization that is focused on connecting hearts and raising healthy families. So it's been 10 years, 10 interesting, lovely, beautiful years. I say to everyone, marriage is beautiful. I have always believed it, and that's been my experience. So it's been so exciting for us. And I woke up today with I can't explain the kind of excitement, the level of excitement was just up it, and I think we're looking forward to sharing the lessons we've learned in the last 10 years. You want to say something?
Yeah, so it's a privilege that it's not everyone who studied this place are here right now. I just want to use this platform to also appreciate all the people that God has used to speak into our lives, all the books we've read, all those times of supporting each other, and God has really come through for us. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for that lovely introduction. So I hope you guys heard. So to build a healthy relationship, you need God. You need to prepare yourself. So study books, seminars, on today's show, please do drop your comments on our comment section. Do not hesitate to drop your comments. We'll try as much as we can in this hour to answer as many questions as possible. But let's start this. Let's start the show today. Right, guys, I'm going to throw it back to you. So what would be the first lesson you've learned in the first 10 years of being together as a couple?
Okay. Lesson number 1. A united couple can conquer any situation together. A united couple can conquer any situation together. That's been our experience. We've had when we talk, we emphasize the fact that as you go through marriage, you go through a lot of transitions, a lot of things will happen. But what matters is your disposition, the disposition of both of you as you go through that journey. So for us, we've had situations we've had to go through that. The only thing we had to remind ourselves was that we have us. And then of course, we knew we had God. But knowing that I can always count on Him, I had that motivation, that energy, that zeal to push forward. Yes.
We've been through different phases of our lives. I remember one particular time when she was doing a practitioner course, legal practice course. It was very challenging. She was working full time. She was, from full time work. Then she was studying full time as well. We're having to do all that, combining all that together. When I was doing my PhD, I remember, not sleeping in the library. I was doing more than one job. At the same time, doing research full time. Then sometimes staying over till 1 a.m. in the morning before I'm coming back. So we come to see that when couples are united with each other, they can conquer anything. Even things that are supposed to be, that is supposed to throw them off. For example, we waited for almost 8 years before we had our first child.
Oh, wow.
That was tough. So once couples are united, once they are united, in other words, you have your back, I know she has my back, and she knows I've got her back. That is a powerful thing that couples can bring together.
The way they tell you that nothing rocks the boat until water gets in. So whatever has to rock it must be external. If we both are together, solid on that agreement, on facing whatever we're going through, whatever that situation is, nothing can rock it, nothing external. And that was our experience. Like he highlighted, we waited almost 8 years to have our first child. And I mean, we had a pleasant ride between us because we knew we were together in that journey. So it doesn't matter what anyone out there is going through, as long as you stick together as a team, remember that you are a team, work together, stand together. A house divided against itself shall not stand. Okay, so you have to work together, realize that it's two of us in this. Nothing can rock your boat.
Very, very important. Very, very important.
Fantastic. Thank you, guys. A house together, not stand. Did you guys get that? A house together. Now, I have a question for couple, or in a relationship, we do have couples, but whether male or female, who are desiring to be united with a couple so that they can achieve, great milestones in their lives. What advice would you give if their opposite their spouse is not forthcoming with that? What would you advise them to do? What steps? What are the skills they need to adapt to be able to apply in their relationship that will help them get to that level?
Fantastic. Thank you very much. One thing.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I thought you finished. Yeah.
No,
one thing that we recommend first is transparency. Why? Because once you have transparency in marriage, in your relationship with somebody, it helps you to build trust. All right. So one of the things that we do is that she has access to my email, she has access to my bank account, she has access to everything. Wherever I'm going, she knows. Not because she needs to be monitored or I need to be monitored. No, it's just that we have decided to live from day one, decided to live that life of transparency. Transparency helps you to be a trustworthy person. All right. Very important. So you can't build unity with someone, like the scripture says, can two work together unless they agree? You can't build strong bond with someone if they don't trust you. There has to be some level of transparency. There has to be vulnerability. So once you create that transparency, then people can come, she can come and share her insecurities, her fears, her concerns, her aspirations. And she can feel safe in the marital environment. So one of the things that couples can do for you to be able to create strong bond or strong unity is to build a relationship that has transparency. One. Number two, create an atmosphere where people can be vulnerable. Because sometimes some couples, I've heard people who say, my wife can never know how much I earn. And because they feel that if they are vulnerable and open about how much they earn, the woman may spend everything up, in quotes. Or they may not be respected. Thank you so much. They may not even be respected. Be like, oh, you are not even earning as much. And that's what he said. And he was boasting about it. And I thought, this is off. This is not right. So one of the key things there is you must create a transparent relationship. All right. Come to that point, because intimacy, one key thing that we built our ministry on, intimacy is about what TDJ could say, intimacy. You must be able to see into the other person and accept them for you. Very, very important.
Wow. Oh, wow. Guys, I hope you're taking notes. This is amazing. Right. You mentioned about intimacy. Let's go on that topic, right? We all know that intimacy is not automatic. Now, what would it be, practical steps for couples to adopt, in building an intimacy in their relationship as a couple? What would you advise? What are your advice you give to them? The advice you give?
Like he started with transparency. For us, when we started with the relationship, we agreed that be transparent, it would be open. So we adopted that as a family value. Every family should have its values. We'll still come to that. But we adopted that as a value. So in that case, we knew that it took two of us. It demanded that both of us had to be open with each other. He said earlier, if you're not open, then there'll be no room for that. There'll be some shady things, some things in secrecy, right? And that's not what we want. We want to be in that place where I know everything. You're seeing into me. You see the depth of me, the layers in there, right? So it also demands that the other party, that we are both vulnerable. We're willing to be vulnerable. We let our guard down, right? And that cannot happen if I don't trust him. So there has to be trust in there. If I trust, since I trust that, I mean, I trust him. This is my wedding, right? I trust that whatever I share with him, I will not be criticized for that. I will not be, whatever I share with him will not be used against me. Okay, so instead he tries to, okay, help me see what good, okay, how do we navigate this issue now? And then how can we get good out of it? Even when I think I've messed up. So just knowing that whatever I share with him will not be used against me, that would help me open up. That just makes me vulnerable with him. So you see this in some relationships where maybe one of the parties shares something with the other, and then one day they have a disagreement, and the other is like, oh, that's how you are. I mean, you always do this. In that case, that would impact the intimacy between them. You want to say something?
Yeah, another thing that couples need to do is
bear with us 1 minute.
Another thing that couples need to do is that they need to create rituals. You know, be intentional about creating rituals around their marriage. For example, what do I mean by rituals? Anything, there's a quote we have which says that the only marriage you get by chance is a boring one. Anything you leave to chance. For example, you have a farmland, you leave it to chance. What happens? Weeds will grow there. You have a house, you just abandon them. What will happen? It will collapse. Anything you leave on its own, usually the positive thing doesn't happen to it. It's the negative thing that happens. I don't know why that is, but that's the law of life. So we need to be intentional about creating activities, creating bonding activities. We have a session where we talk every morning. We talk in the morning, we talk at night. And because of that, we're always in sync with each other. All right. We have activities, we read books together, we shop together, we bathe together, we write books together, we do ministry together. So there are several touch points during the course of the day, up to 6 or 7 different touch points, all during the day. So that helps you constantly stay in touch. And for that to be successful, for that to be a good experience, you need to be intentional about, number one, forgiving. Because if you can't talk about intimacy if you have resentment in your heart.
Yeah.
If you have things that you are still, that is there that you guys have not even discussed. Because she's feeling that if you bring it up, my disposition will be wrong, will be negative. So I talked about creating the right atmosphere. One thing we learned. Then also forgiving, because there is no how you can be in the same space with someone and not hurt that person, intentionally or not intentionally. All right. Last year was complete shutdown. All right. A lot of us we had to stay in the same house with our spouses. So if you've not built that kind of relationship whereby you can stay with somebody, the person is your friend, the person is your body. You can be open, you can be yourself, you can let down your head without feeling, like someone is going to use something against you. Very, very important. So we've talked about creating transparency. We talked about forgiveness. We talked about creating an atmosphere where people can really connect. We talked about creating rituals, deliberate rituals. So, for example, anniversaries, Valentine's Day, if you believe in that, special day during the course of the week, don't make it be an annual thing, monthly thing. Take her out, whatever you think will put a smile on your spouse's face. And that brings us to our definition of romance. Yeah. Our definition of romance says, because romance is what you do on a consistent basis in the pursuit of your spouse's heart, attention, and happiness. And that's what helps us to build that intimacy that we are talking about.
I think that just touched on the question somebody asked. I saw someone ask that question.
I was going to come to that actually. Someone was saying,
I was trying to say that we have addressed that. What about those struggling with intimacy? So what he said now, I think just takes care of that, in the sense that we can't use romance to help the situation.
We can use romance to repeat yourself. Sorry, I didn't get that, Chidi.
We can use romance to help that situation.
Okay, good. I hope we got that, viewers. Right, we can use romance to
I can explain further.
relationship. No. Okay, please do. Please shed light into that.
But it does look like we're losing some. Can we just hold for 1 minute so we can sort this out?
Okay. All right, cool.
Okay, I think we're good. So I was trying to say that romance can help. We believe that for couples who are struggling, they can't get romantic. Romance will help them achieve intimacy. And what do we mean by romance? Like he was trying to say earlier, the little but consistent things you do on a daily basis in pursuit of your spouse's heart, attention, and happiness. Little but consistent things. So in that case, I'm trying to say they don't have to be expensive things, right? They don't have to be, I don't have to break the bank. I don't have to try to keep up like the Joneses to do it, but they have to be consistent. And then it must be for my spouse's heart, attention, and happiness. So I don't go and set out to do things that will make other people happy, another man happy. Okay, so in that case, I have to put my husband into the picture. What would make him happy? Not what would make another man happy. What would catch his attention? What would do it for him? That's romance. In that case, because I'm looking out for his need, the gap between us will be bridged. Okay, we'll become more intimate because you can't give love and not get love back. Okay? I mean, in most cases.
Yes, that's if you're in a healthy relationship, guys. So if you don't give, you can't give love and not get love back. So it has to be a healthy relationship for you to be able to give and also receive. I think I had a question come up here just quickly. It says, what if someone doesn't know how to be, be a romantic person? So what would they do? What skills?
We like to say that romance can be learned by anyone.
Yes.
Anyone can be romantic.
Yes.
Okay. But what affects us sometimes is our mindset. Okay. Some people think that romance is for the honeymoon phase. So we're 20 years in marriage or 25 years in marriage. We can't be doing that kind of thing. Okay. So it's for those youngsters, right? Some people feel that romance is sex. So in that case, hey, madam, if I sleep with you, then I'm being romantic, right? But romance is beyond that, like I've highlighted.
Yeah, some people even think that romance is very expensive, all right? And that's what you tried to talk about earlier on in terms of it might be the little things. It's the little but consistent things. What most people do is that they wait for February 14th to do one big thing. If you have a plant, like we have this plant there, and you only water it once a year, you're not going to have the best. You need to nurture it. So think of your marriage like a plant. We like to say that marriage is like a living organism. Living organism, in other words, it has a life of its own.
Yeah.
Or the way you nurture it is how you make it grow, how you nurture it. So you can't say to your wife, I love you only February 14th or only during her birthday. You have to make sure you nurture her. You can't say to your husband, I love you only once a year or when he buys you a gift. No, it has to be something that might be little, but you are doing it on a consistent basis. And that's one of the things that helps marriages become healthy. So you think of it this way. You might be struggling with the concept. So that's why with that definition, it means anybody can be romantic. Anybody can be romantic. And there's a saying people say that familiarity breeds contempt. We don't believe that. We believe that familiarity should bring romance, should bring intimacy. Why? The more you get to know your spouse, the more you know what to do to make her happy.
Yeah.
The more you get to know somebody, in the initial phase of the relationship, you don't really know the person, so you can't really say you love the person. But the more you know, okay, she likes this color, okay, she likes this perfume, she likes this, and then you begin to do more of those. The more you discover, because every face is different for a woman and for a man. All right, so you need to be able to also check what face, because something that used to make us smile in 5 years, when we were 5 years in marriage, may not make her smile now. She has evolved. She's becoming a fuller woman. She's conquered more things. Her needs and her expectations have shifted. That means I have to constantly chase, constantly pursue, constantly try to unravel her like a wonderful flower. All right,
Wow.
to be able to find out something to put a smile. Where the issue comes is this: when maybe because of the challenges of life, the hectic work, you just keep procrastinating. I'll do it later. I'll do it later, and then it becomes your new way of life. You know, both of you are just carrying on. I mean, we are Christians anyway. She's not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere. That mindset makes people begin to settle, and so they are no longer in pursuit. So that spark that they used to have begins to wane. They now become like regular roommates. Like, what's for dinner? Are the children okay? You know, basic things, and that begins to take away that energy, that fire that they used to have at the beginning. All right, you can always get it back.
Yeah, so that's just dealing with, I think you took us right head on into it. That's dealing with our second point we're going to share, that intimacy is not automatic.
Yes.
So with all we've highlighted, you can see that there's work to be done, but as long as you put in the work, you'll have the results.
You get the results.
Fantastic. Thank you, guys. So, right, moving forward now. I want to touch on forgiveness. We did mention about forgiveness. So I know that's one area people struggle in their relationship, to forgive their spouse when they're offended. So what advice would you give to couples when they're struggling to forgive each other on issues within their relationship?
Okay. Forgiveness must be a practice. Okay. Forgiveness must be a practice. Now, talking about forgiveness, if we realize that forgiveness, you're forgiving for yourself, not for your husband, right? Because it impacts you when you don't forgive. So they will tell you forgiveness is a gift you give to yourself. So I decide to give. I love myself that much to give to myself forgiveness, because it's not nice to have all of that in there. In saying that, there are times you'll be hurt, of course. Those times will come, okay? Sometimes by omission. Not that this person intends to offend you, but like the scripture will say, offenses must come. They will come. Okay, so no one goes into marriage not expecting that. There are times we will trip. I mean, imagine your relationship with your siblings as well. Okay, you can't be that proximate with someone and that person will not offend you. This is why you must learn to forgive. You must teach yourself why it's important for me to forgive. I have to give to myself that.
Fantastic. I'm just adding. It also has physical and biological benefits. You see, they say it takes about, I can't remember now, I think the doctors here will tell us, it takes about 74 muscles to frown, and it takes less than that to smile. So those who are constantly frowning, they have more wrinkles than those who are constantly happy and excited. That's one. Number two, those who live in perennial unforgiveness, they are often exposed to some kind of health issues. I mean, we did the research on this some time ago, and found out that some of the illnesses that people experience are called emotionally induced illnesses. Emotionally induced. So a lot of them can be traced to stress, can be traced to unforgiveness that people have had for years. I mean, recently I read one guy, I think it was from Italy, that won a gold medal or something. And he said something that was very instructive. He said that his coach told him, if you want to win this race and go faster, connect with your dad. He said he has never met his dad. He doesn't know where he is, but he knows he's alive. And he made up his mind to connect with his dad. And that's the lesson in forgiveness. Obviously, his father was not present. Maybe his father left his mother. So that unforgiveness was there. And that was impacting his training, his capacity to run. So his coach told him, if you really want to do this, you have to forgive. You have to let somebody go. I'll just throw you this example in as well. Somebody we worked with on our coaching academy for singles, the singles version. All right, so this lady, amazing lady, fantastic lady. What happened to her was that she was in a relationship with this guy. They were going to get married, and then the guy just took her money and ran away. She was bitter. I think she had bought wedding gown. She had done all kind of planning. She was really, really bitter. So when we started working with her, she was like, no, I can't forgive him. She was holding on. I said, hey, babe, the only way for you to move past this is for you to forgive him. She said, no, I can't forgive him. he did this, he did that. I said, I understand that. And then by the time we gave her 1 or 2 steps, and then one of the things we told her to say, begin to declare that you love this person, begin to speak well of him, pray for him. It took her days. She said she cried for days. But it got to the point whereby remembering that experience did not hurt her anymore. That was the day she was set free, and her life completely changed. So forgiveness, like she said, you are not doing it for the other person alone. You are doing it for yourself. If I'm holding somebody down, if I'm holding them down, I can't stand up from here to do any other thing. I have to be here. That is what forgiveness, unforgiveness is. You are holding the person. You can't do any other thing with your hand. You can't do any other productive work. And that's why many people are stuck. That's why many couples are stuck. You know, they are praying for stuff. They're not getting results because, you know, they're not happy with each other. They're not moving forward. Very, very important. That's one lesson we learned.
One thing, forgiveness is very important in the relationship. Understand that we'll hurt each other. And I mean, when you're hurt, yes, you can take some time out, cool off, but ensure that you deal with that issue. And then you, who has been hurt, must let go. You just have to. Yes.
Fantastic.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you so much. Right. Moving forward, I just want to find out about, you know, growing together as a powerful building force. Practical steps would you advise one to follow in growing together and building a strong family unit? I want to use that. So yes.
Okay. Every couple must grow together. I'm trying to carry our audience along as well as we go, so they know which point we're addressing as we go on. Okay, so growing together should be a priority for the couple. Now we see this in cases where one person advances, makes advancement, and the other doesn't. In no time, you have that gap, okay, mentally. And this is where we bring in mental intimacy, right? That we are intentional about bridging that gap mentally. If one person keeps moving on, the other needs to catch up. Okay, or you who is moving on needs to be intentional about bringing the other on board.
Yeah, fantastic. I was enjoying listening to you. So one very important thing is this: you can't leave it to chance. So how do we do it practically? What we do is that most times we see, like even last night, after I had a presentation last night, but before that presentation, we sat down together, we listened to about 1 hour plus of a particular somebody that we respect, like a mentor, listening and discussing. We're learning things, we're sharing and discussing. We listen to tons and tons of YouTube videos together where we share 3 things, you know. So with that, we're always learning the same thing. So when I find something interesting, I send it to her. Have you watched this? You know, she's finding something interesting, she sends it to me. That helps us to keep our mental intimacy because, like she said, once you get to that point where you guys don't connect mentally, your spouse is discussing something at work, you have no clue what they are saying, they can't really connect with you. So they're like, when your spouse get to that point where they want to explain something, be like, don't worry, you can't get it. That's not a good compliment. That's not a good. Personally, like I said earlier on at the beginning, I said my wife's a practice solicitor. There are movies that I've gone to watch that has to do with lawyers, how they think, the language and everything, just to be able to get into her world, to be able to understand how she thinks, to be able to understand her priorities, to be able to understand the transitions. Otherwise, if you get to that point where she's using some legal terms, I'm just looking like, hey, what happened? No, I don't want to be that kind of person. I want to also be at the cutting edge. So we have made it deliberate about growing together, and that growing together also, we found out that it helps us to build intimacy. It's section what we call mental intimacy, because there are levels of different types of intimacy. So helping us to connect mentally. So when we are setting goals, I'm not concerned that she doesn't have the capability, because we have grown, we've learned, our paradigms have shifted. So we are making that jump together. Nothing as overwhelming as someone who wants to achieve something, but you look to your spouse, you feel like they don't have what it takes, so you are constantly going out to get help that you're getting from home. It's not very nice. You know, personally, I like women that are mental, that are highly cerebral, that as I'm talking, before I finish what I'm saying, she's landing there. That's the kind of thing that you want to see, and the same for her as well. So very, very important, and that's how we do it.
some couples are fortunate to be in the same industry.
Yeah.
Some are not in the same industry. So in a case like that, nothing stops you trying to get into the other's world to know what's happening there. Okay, so for instance, a musician marries a doctor. Okay, nothing stops you, doctor, from checking out on the musician.
Yes.
What are the keys? What are the notes? You know, just get interested, show a bit of interest in what the other is doing. That would help to bridge the gap, because as you continue to talk about these things at home, you're sharing the language, the message is going in.
Fantastic.
You mentioned something about levels of intimacy. Just quickly mention that. You know, just quickly mention the levels of intimacy.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So the first one is the one everybody knows is sexual intimacy. That is when the first one most people know about is sexual intimacy. That is where, you know, that you create that ambience where both of you can sexually connect with each other at the most deepest level. The next one is spiritual intimacy, is when people can spiritually connect with each other. You guys have shared the same values, the same orientation, the same perspective, the same, you know, very intimate relationship with God and with yourselves. And then we have mental intimacy, where both of you can mentally communicate and connect with each other at a high mental level, where even before you finish what you are saying, she gets you or he gets you. It's like that. And then we have what other type of emotional intimacy?
Those are the types.
Yeah. So those are different types. And you know, and like we have financial intimacy, where you can be completely vulnerable about your financial dealings. You know, she knows how much you own. You know, she knows how much you owe. You both of you know each other. You are transparent. You have access to each other's accounts. You know, so those are some of the types of intimacy. And then we have aesthetic intimacy, where both of you enjoy leisure or arts stuff, where you connect at those levels as well. I'll just stop there.
All right, thank you guys so much. Thank you. Moving forward, I wanted to touch on the question. It says your marriage has to have purpose. That's key. So, how would one find their purpose in their marriage? You know, people get married but don't know the reasons why they're even together. Is it possible for you to get married to someone and then find it as you together growing, or can you find it before then, whilst in the period of courting? So, share light into that, please.
Every marriage should have a purpose. That's another lesson we're putting out there. Every marriage has a purpose, right? So it's for the couples, the spouses involved, to decide to set out to find out what their purpose is. And that's because marriage is a means to an end. It's not an end in itself. Okay, there is a reason we are together. There's a reason God has brought you together. Okay, so it's for you two to sit down. They'll tell you about the different spheres of influence. There are 7 of them. Okay, God might be needing you to dominate in one of those spheres. Okay, government, media, art and entertainment, science and technology, religion, family, okay, business, education. So you need to, as a family, sit down and, you know, discover what God would have you do, what industry He would have you function in, what industry He would have you make an impact in. There is a reason, there is a purpose for your marriage. We're not just together, just to be together, feel good for ourselves and have children and that's it. No.
So the key thing there is the moment you identify the different spheres of influence, you can now begin to ask each other. First, we will recommend that you pray. You know, God, what are you putting in our heart? What direction do you want us to go? You know. Second thing, you begin to take stock of each other's strengths and competencies. All right. So, for example, God told us to get into this. But in addition to that, before I came into this country, there are some specific things that God told me specifically about this area of ministry. And before we even met, she has always been passionate about marriage. You see how we now began to link it and begin to, you know. So, but at the beginning, to be clear, but you have like a broad scope of what it is. As you pursue it, you begin to get clearer and clearer and clearer. And that's how it works. So, first is prayer. 2 is find out your common area of interest. And now begin to see ask yourself, what value can we offer people in this area? sometimes people wait until they figure out everything. No, it doesn't work like that. The first light that you see, drive it and follow it through. Along the line, the higher you go on the staircase, like King Julian would say, the light will shine brighter, brighter and brighter. You know, it's like when you're carrying the lamp, you can only see the light there. But if you stand there, that's all you see. As you carry that lamp and continue to pursue, you'll be seeing further and further ahead. So you might start with something really small, but as you carry on with it, you find out that will now expand to something else. I mean, we started by just running a Facebook page, for example. Today we have written about 8 books and more are still coming. We run a YouTube channel. We run an Instagram page. You know, we do coaching. We have our own customized coaching program. We had many people that have gone through it. All right. So we didn't start like that, but we started with just a single Facebook page. And from that, it has grown. So if you had waited to have everything figured out, we'll be here today. That's it.
Oh, thank you guys. Now, I know in every relationship or in marriage, there are phases, one leading to another. You know, how would one, each phase, prepare you for the next phase in your relationship? You know, what stages? I'm trying to find the right words to use to explain what I'm trying to say. So, what stages will prepare for this? You know, let's say you're married and you're preparing to have a child. You know, how would one prepare, you know, to get to the next phase in that relationship?
Fantastic. There are different people who have looked at that concept of the different phases of marriage. So I'm going to use one that we researched recently. You know, so first stage, what some people call like the honeymoon stage. That is the initial stage. Boy meets girl, you know, boy winks at girl, girl winks back and smiles, and then they ask for name and exchange numbers, and then they continue to build relationship. That initial stage, there's a lot of hope, there's a lot of excitement, there's a lot of butterfly in the tummy, all right? Usually it lasts for a few years, but some people can actually extend it. You can extend it. Specifically, that's some of what we shared, how to sustain intimacy. If you do some of those things, you can extend that. So the next phase is the phase of disillusionment, where this concept was by a man called, I've forgotten his name, Victor something, I can't remember his surname. All right, so that stage is the stage of disillusionment, where people now get into marriage. And the reality of what it takes to get married to work dawns on them. And they're like, I didn't know that I had to forgive 578 times a day. I didn't know that I have to do this. I didn't know that I have to do that. That experience shocks a lot of people, and some people interpret it wrongly. Those who interpret it to mean I've chosen the wrong spouse. Those ones don't develop the capacity to push through that phase. Those ones who develop the capacity to be like, she's a pain. Let me look for somewhere else where I'm going to chill and escape. What do? They run away from that experience and then they go. You know, it's like the story of, I read one time ago, a book called Acres of Diamond, you know, and the story behind it is someone had a piece of land and everybody was running, you know, there was a huge noise, you know, and people were looking for diamonds. And so this particular guy had this land. What did he do? He sold it and then gathered all the money and traveled to a distant country in search of diamond. Eventually, he couldn't find any diamond and he died there. You know, the person that bought his land that he left started farming and digging. And one day while he was digging, he found one big thing and then he opened it. It turned out to be diamond. Now, the lesson in that is this. Sometimes what people are despising is treasure. All right, like they say that the grass always looks greener on the other side. No, it doesn't look greener. It's just that people have they have garden hoops, and they are wetting the lawn. They have manure. They are cultivating. Remember what we said earlier on, that relationship is like a living organism. How you nurture it determines how it grows.
True.
This is just someone who said that that's something we used to say to each other. You're my ride or die. You are stuck with me. You're not going anywhere. You know, we say it jokingly to each other. And you know, to laugh, to be like, man, come rain, come shine, I'm going to be there for you. Come rain, come shine, I'm going to be devoted to you. You have to just keep holding each other up, because there are days where you feel exhausted, there are days where you feel what is happening, but you need to always remind yourself, why did you embark on this journey in the first place? So that's the middle point. Then the final point, one is a romantic disillusionment. Then there is another, what you call, where we try to relabel it as intimacy phase, which is when after you've gone through all that phase, you push through that phase, you be like, you know what, you forgive, you move on, you forgive. You guys say, you know what, now we have hit 5 years. What do we want the next 5 years to look like? You are intentional. You're not just waiting. You know, like a man of God I respect will say, do not watch life drag you on. Give you direction. Do not let life drag you on. Give you direction. So don't just wait for one miracle to just happen. Some people believe that mindset that because we are both Christians, marriage will just sort out itself. No. The principles of marriage are different from moral principles. There are certain things that you need to learn. There are for example, communication skills, listening skills. That has nothing to do with morality. The fact that you are a Christian does not mean that everything will just be rosy. No, you have to walk through some things. You need to understand women. You need to understand how a woman thinks. You need to understand the emotion of a woman. You need to understand the needs of a woman. You need to understand the phases of life of a woman. That has nothing to do with morality. So you need to understand the man. Why will a man just suddenly recline into his cave and not want to talk to anybody? What happens during the monthly cycle of a woman? Why is she irritable? Those are things that you need to learn. So that is why we are passionate about this. So those 3 phases are the key phases of relationship. So what you do in one phase will determine what the next phase will look like. So every marriage on this earth will go through challenges. Every marriage. In the scripture also tells us that those who build, there are 2 people that build their house. One person built it upon the sand, the other person built it upon the rock. What happened? Both of them were experienced wind, they experienced rain, they experienced siege. So everything happens to every marriage. The difference of what survives and what doesn't is how they are built, which is the principle that I've talked about. You know, somebody does something to you, you refuse to forgive. What happens? That relationship will suffer and it will stay at that point. But once you forgive, you move on. Both of you are moving on to the next phase. You see, so the individuality in marriage is what makes it what it is. That's one thing we blend. Yeah.
Thank you. Now, talking about building, building a high quality community, how would one go about that? As we know that the community starts with a couple as a unit, and then that expands into a community, and then a nation, and then a continent. So what would you advise, to building a quality, high quality relating?
Fantastic.
So, yes.
Okay, so that emphasizes another lesson. Building a high quality community is important. Okay, even though we're married, we need to plug ourselves in a community where we also benefit from other marriages around us.
Yep.
I'll just give you an example. When there was something we set out to do, and then we wanted to change our mind because we're thinking of got a child around. And then I just heard one woman speak with passion. And she said, she was talking to herself, but I knew she was reacting to that situation. And she said, children are to be trained. The passion with which she said it made me realize, oh, that's been her journey. Now this is a woman who's raised brilliant children, they're doing well. So she was enforcing a principle. So with the kind of community you have to be intentional about looking out for the kind of people you network with. Okay, you can't just nobody is an island. Okay, you have to learn from others. Now for me, hearing that from her, I think I kind of caught the passion with which she said it. And we decided to train our son regarding that thing. And you'll be surprised that it's been fine.
Fantastic.
You see, so I think something probably would have changed our mind on that. Would have made another decision. Okay, but I learned the principle of having to train intentionally. All right, so that's one of the importance you get from community.
There is a concept in the African called Ubuntu.
Yeah,
it says you are because I am. In other words, the value of the wisdom we share as a people is very powerful that you can tap into. The connection that comes to you, the value that comes to you is very, very important. So one key thing that we've done is that we have mentors in our lives. We have people we look up to. A lot of them are here, dropping comments. We have people in the marriage community. that we connect with. We have people in the career community. We have people in our African community. We have people in the UK community. We have relationship in different sectors and different rates. So that has helped us to have a robust perspective into what we do. You know, also we have people that we mentor. We have a lot of people that we mentor. We have people that we have supported in ministry who, before they started the ministry, they were feeling like, no, I can't do this. A lot of them are running their own ministry and they are doing very well. And anybody who approaches to say, hey, you guys, can I, you know, I remember one particular lady, you know, when she came to me, she said, I have this passion to run this for girls. You know, I only want like 10 ladies. I said to her, I said, all right, I said, go and write me a plan. Let me see what you have to do. By the time she came up with the plan, I said, no, this can't be. It can't be carrying all this value and be looking for 10 girls. Let's make it 30. I said, doctor. She calls me doc. She said, doc, this is too much for me. By the time I worked with her, changed her mindset, I'm telling you that her numbers had grown to 50. And she's telling me, you know, this is the next thing we are doing, this next one. This was somebody that says she can only manage 10. She doesn't want trouble. All right. So one thing I've come to see is that sometimes people need you to believe in self. People who need you to believe in them until their own belief kicks in. So when I take on someone, I look at the person's strengths, you know, just a gift I have. I know what to say to the person. I know what to ignite. The moment the person begins to run on their own, you just see me. Most times I won't even check on you because at that time I don't want to micromanage. I'm the kind of person that like to let the butterfly fly and let them be who they are, where they are supposed to be. Yeah.
So that's the benefit in community.
Yes.
Oh, that is good. Thank you, guys. Now, we're going to take a question coming up on our screen here. It says, how can you help a spouse who doesn't understand how to handle each phase of marriage the right way? I know we'll talk about this, but just to answer this question for the viewer who's just raised it up.
Fantastic. This is a very, very, very important thing. Now, how can you help a spouse who does not understand how to handle the face? You know, I like the fact you use the word, you phrase the question correctly, because handling talks about skill. All right. So, like I said, it's not just relationship, not just about the spiritual side of it. There is the wisdom part of it. There is the skill part of it. All right. How to communicate. Some people don't know how to communicate. All right. What I mean by that is they just say, they be like, you know what, I just want to give my peace of my mind. Yeah, peace of your mind is good, but you need to know how to, you know, restrain in some situations. So that's a skill. All right. So if your spouse doesn't have that skill, there are ways. It's harder if it's the woman, if it's the man rather, because usually depending on the kind of environment where you come from. So if it's in the African setting where most men, you know, have this, or let me not generalize. So let me just answer the question directly. So one key thing there is this: you can decide to have a conversation with him. Yeah, I'm not happy about this. You know, if he's the kind of person that is reasonable or is willing to listen, the person. There are many times my wife has called me to say, no, I don't like this, and sometimes I disagree, sometimes I agree. If there are times, even you have the Spirit of God, you know that no, this is really wrong, and she'll give you her reasons why she thinks this is wrong. It might be right in a different situation, but in this situation, this is wrong. And then you guys can reason together. You know what? Okay, I'll try and make an amendment. All right, because there is something they call in a concept called Joari window, where you have it's called blind spot. I can't see the back of my head. So the person that I've trusted my life with, we call life partner. I'm traveling on the journey of life. I trust her to help me see weaknesses in me that I don't even know. And some of these weaknesses might be things that have helped you in the past. Maybe from the rugged environment where you grew up with. This is how to behave to get something done. But now, you are now posh. You are now moving to a new environment. Some of those ghetto habits need to leave you. You know, maybe you are the kind of person that when you are eating, you were born in a family of maybe like 15. And if the plate is like everybody have to rush the food, otherwise there will be nothing. So now, it's only the two of you eating. You are still eating for a great uncle. Settle down. That was a survival tactic that is wrong. It's no longer useful for this era. It's like when you are building a house, you know, the people you need at the foundation, you don't need them when you are finishing. Otherwise, they will break the whole glass. So you need to also understand the pace of life. So sometimes your spouse may tell you something, it might not make sense to you, but they are seeing your own strength. So if the person is open-minded, they will listen and they will make adjustments. Now, in a situation where they are not open-minded, you need to use a different tactics. there is something that I learned in NLP, neuro linguistic programming. It's called bypassing the conscious resistance. What does that mean? Usually, when someone who doesn't want to listen to a different point of view, what happens is that you have to come with an energy. So let's say that if I share this idea, he will say no or she will say no. So what do? I don't tell her directly because I know she's going to say no. I'll come through a different way. So maybe I'm just discussing something with him that happened to my friend, and I'm dropping the germs. I'm dropping the ideas. I'm sowing those seeds. Why? Because that area is hard. I need to take time to sow those areas. Right? For example, somebody just spends money anyhow. He believes that, money is to be spent. That is his belief system. All right. And you guys are trying to put money together to buy your first property. That behavior will not allow you to buy a property. So what do? Begin to use indirect way to say, oh, look at these people. They just finished school the other day. We are just discussing things like that. You are sowing seed. Oh, this happened to me when I was growing up. My dad passed, or my dad couldn't buy a house. This is how it impacted us when he passed on. We're all kicked out. You are saying it's nose, it's hearing. You are programming. You're sending. You are bypassing it. You are not telling him. You are bypassing it. Yeah, but you have to be very wise about how you do it, because if he knows that you're trying to do, it might even now shut you out completely. Another way might be you playing a message or playing something, just listening to something on YouTube, and the person is discussing some key areas, and you guys are discussing it, or he's just hearing. Another thing might be you bringing somebody that you respect. Just have a chat with the person to say, this is what we are trying to do, but we're having a challenge around this. But to be honest with you, I wouldn't want you to bring it up with my husband. But well, just bring it up like that. If the person is a wise person, they know how to approach your guy to navigate and discuss it without throwing you under the bus. Yeah, those are the ideas I can.
I like what relationship builders firm just dropped there.
Yeah.
Relationships are built based on specific skills.
Yes.
Okay, so we need some of these skills, like you started with communication, right? There's another one. Sometimes it's just building that emotional resilience, the emotional agility that a situation requires.
Yep.
Okay, so you don't break in the face of a situation.
Fantastic.
That can help as you're going through a phase, so you don't crack. Yeah. So, but then we need to go for the skills. One way we can get the skills is through knowledge. So some of the things he's highlighted would help. Okay, maybe introduce some of this information that would help your spouse help that spouse speak up.
Yeah, so look at YouTube videos like this, interact, get a coach, that can also help. Very, very important. Yeah.
So because
sorry,
go on.
Okay.
Okay, I was just going to say, in this case, it's the spouse who wants the other to help. So if that person is very fixed, it might be difficult. So you can explore some of the things we've shared. Think about what would work for this person. Okay, for one man, it may be producing somebody he respects who might be able to help the situation. But by all means, just think about what would work best for him or her.
Cool. Thank you guys so much. Now, one of the questions I actually wanted to ask was, we have this saying that, align with the prevailing narrative. What do you mean? So don't align. I would say don't align with the prevailing narrative. So what do you guys mean by that? What would what would be your advice to couples?
Let me just throw one example, and then he can carry on.
Right.
Okay, that's another lesson you're putting out there. Okay, that we don't align with the prevailing narrative. Okay, we go above that. An example would be sometimes, and this happened to me when before we had a child. You hear people say to you, maybe for something that needs to be done, and they say to you, "Oh, wait until you have a child." Okay. Sometimes if you're not careful, you'll be conditioned by such statements, and you think that, having children can make you like this. So when you have a child, you unconsciously then realize that you're settling. Okay. So that's what we mean by not going against, not aligning with the prevailing narrative, because it may not always be right.
To just to substantiate to give what she's trying to talk about. So a good example is, oh, if you have a child, you guys will not be able to do ministry anymore.
Mm.
Some people have heard that and they've said, no, let me wait for the child to be 5, to be 10, to be 20, and then nothing is happening. Some people have this mindset to say that, oh, the moment you locate, it takes forever to achieve X, Y, and Z. Oh, immigrants don't do this. Oh, these people don't do this. Oh, people from this background cannot do this. And you accept that belief system. You know, you don't even question it. There are many, we emigrated. So there are many people who are supposed to have achieved some very big things, but because they are listening to the so-called professionals that have been around, and they are sharing limiting beliefs. I remember a man I really respect, what's his name now? Les Brown said something. He said, don't let somebody's opinion become your own reality. Don't let somebody's opinion become your own reality. So one thing we have learned is that anything that we want to accomplish, what we go is that we go after those people who have that mindset. Those who don't have that mindset and they are discouraging us, we just emotionally fence them out. Not that we cut them off. Yeah, we don't cut people off. Emotionally fence them out. I don't even have that conversation with you. So you don't have that opportunity to even introduce a contrary mindset. Because you know, like the hen, for the hen to be able to hatch any egg, it needs to sit on that egg over a period of time. Science will tell us about 21 days. All right, you need to sit. So anything you want to achieve in your life, anything you want to achieve, one massive thing that nobody in your lineage has ever done, the moment you conceive that idea, you need to sit on it with your spouse. The prayer of agreement, both of you agreeing, is very powerful. When your spouse agrees with you, it's one of the most powerful things on this earth. They say two can chase one can chase 10,000, two can chase 10,000, put them to flight. So once both of you agree on anything, you need to sit on that thing until it becomes reality. It doesn't matter what any other person is saying. So that's one key thing we believe that we have come to see, that God has helped us to do things that are very difficult, things that are groundbreaking in our own life. All right, so we've come to see that don't accept the prevailing narrative that, oh, people can't do this, people of this age can't do this, people of that age can't do this. It takes 50 years to do this. No. Create your own reality.
Wow, create your own reality, guys. That is key. That is powerful. Right, we're rounding up shortly, guys. But for the couple, I just want to ask, what is it that you would do differently over again, and why? You know, in this 10 years you've been together, is there anything that you guys would do differently?
I'll marry him again.
I will marry her earlier.
Oh,
I'm telling you. Yeah, we met in 2005. Yes, we met in 2005, and then I asked her out in 2008. So we wanted to get married the following year, you know, but for some reason we couldn't do that. So the only regret is I would have married her earlier. That's it.
Oh wow, that is amazing.
I mean, it's been a transformational journey for me. I've come really far from who I used to be, being more than a coach to me. Like someone we started by talking about intimacy, and we're talking about you being vulnerable. I'm most vulnerable with him. I can say it how I think, how I feel, knowing that he would understand it, and with maturity help me process what's happening. I am a lot better. Oh dear, don't get me emotional.
And I can say the same for her in the sense that, you know, God has used that to help me to grow in some specific areas, calling me to a higher standard, you know, to say, you know what, hey, babe, I'm this is not the kind of husband I want to have. I want you to say that he has a way of pulling my attention, you know. So okay, this is the vision, this is what we agreed. The error you can make is to share a dream with this one. You must fulfill it. The moment you tell us something to be like, and then later on you're trying to move on to something else. No, she stays on something until it gets done. Oh, she has resilience. You know, that's one capacity that she has. So that's one. And so I am an ideas person. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. So I have the tendency to try to be spinning many balls in the air. All you have to do is to open your mouth and share a dream with her and say, God said, we must do it too. We must achieve it. She's a rock. She's a rock.
What would be one of the things you're most grateful, you know, being together?
Wow.
And why? And why? So
I'm most grateful for the journey we've been on. It's helped us achieve more, grow more than we would have. Okay. We were, when you reach the stages of marriage, they'll tell you, okay, there's there are different stages, the honeymoon phase, okay, and then you get to the point where it's the spring phase where things start springing. When we go through the 4 seasons, right? Yes. Summer, fall, spring, and winter. Okay, so if you go through that, that wasn't it for us. We were just, I think, from the start early on, thrown into a deep phase where, for me, it also reinforced his love for me. I kind of knew the kind of person I was on the journey with, and that was very assuring for me. So I'm most grateful for the journey we've been on. It's helped us grow faster, right? Because sometimes you see people who are maybe 20 years in marriage who may not have experienced certain things you have experienced, you've conquered, right? So I'm most grateful for that. I just feel it was maybe God. Sometimes it might be linked to what God will have you do later. Like the way the scripture says that through the comfort you have received, you may comfort others. Okay, so we see people as we go through experiences and we come out. God brings people our way who are going through that phase, and we're able to, just help, encourage. And sometimes they are startled that, oh, how come you know so much? That was God giving us the opportunity to experience it. So I'm most grateful for that journey. Yeah. What are you saying?
Wow, what I'm most grateful for? I'm most grateful for the ability to hear God. That's one of the most important. After my salvation, the ability to hear God is one of the most important treasures. Why? Because without having that ability, I wouldn't even have married at the first place. Yeah. Without having that ability, there are some things that I would not have done. Why? Because God said, I'm going to bring this to you. God said, I will bring you to this. So they look so big to me from where I'm coming from my background, but they are my natural reality today. So that ability to hear from God, I will treasure it more than anything. I'm most grateful for the gift of this amazing one in my life. I'm telling you, I'm a much better person from who I was 10 years before, even before we even met. We were just friends. Then one thing led to the other. We said I do. All right. I'm most grateful for the relationships around me. Yeah, the kind of in-laws I have, the kind of mentors I have. I'm most grateful for that. I'm grateful for the gift of my son. Oh my word. He's a fantastic, he's a lovely human being. When he goes to bed like this, we'll be saying to ourselves, I'm missing, where is he? Where is he? He's a lovely human being. I'm not saying because he's our child, he's a lovely, fine human being. I'm telling you. So we have many things we are grateful. We are grateful for the experiences that could have broken us, but has rather made us stronger. We are grateful for the opportunity to be a minister, to serve our generation, to put our voice there to help people to build strong relationships. It's a rare privilege. Really, we are grateful for this. We are grateful for the gift of you. And Kolawole, that has been very supportive. Damilola, Kolawole, we're really grateful about it. We have many things we're grateful for. All right.
Wow, as the scripture says, count your blessings, name them one by one. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. And then finally, but not the least, I know, if the opportunity was still there, we'll still carry on with this, but we still have to call this show to an end. Now, looking forward to the future, nearest future, what are your aspirations? Things that that, okay, as a couple, we're looking forward to doing this, just a hint. Maybe you don't need to go into deep details to tell us, because I know we
putting us on the spot.
We are looking forward to a lot of things. We're looking forward to more connection with people. We're looking forward to a bigger platforms, bigger opportunity to serve, to speak into people's lives. We're looking forward to being a part of many people's journeys. We're looking forward to more books. We're looking forward to more coaching opportunities to, be a coach to many people. We're looking forward to building larger organizations that will go, penetrate some very rare places that ministries like this don't go. So there are many things we're looking forward to.
So I personally
is large of internet.
Building a stronger marriage together.
Wow, wow. I like that. The canvas is large and we are painting it. Very colorful painting. I can see that. Thank you guys so much. And thank you, viewers, for being on air with us today. It's been lovely having you guys on this show, and dropping your comments. It's been an amazing an hour plus. So I want to thank beautiful couple. Thank you, Dr. Victor and Chidi. Thank you guys. Please do reach out to them on their platform at Foundation for Family Affairs, on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, the same thing. So Foundation for Family Affairs.org. They have a website, they have books that you can buy and read and expand your knowledge, and skills. And also if you want to take, join them on their courses. So for singles, for couples, please do go on board. You would not regret it. I, for one, have actually had to do it for myself, and I am grateful. So it is me. My name is Goodness Hedowa. Thank you for having me on the show. God bless you all, and I hope you all have a fantastic weekend. And that's it, guys. Bye.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We're so grateful. Thank you for celebrating our day with us. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.